initiative, and she's going to be addressing financial exploitation. Okay, and we are still being recorded.
Hi, everybody. Hope you don't mind the mask. I'll try to talk loudly so you can hear me. My name is Casey, and I work for Catholic Charities. I run the Elder Abuse Multidisciplinary Team program for what's called the North Country Hub. The hub is Lewis, Jefferson, St. Lawrence, Clinton, Essex, and Franklin counties. So that's who I am, and I'm going to talk to you about these EMDTs that you also have in your county. So you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So enhanced multidisciplinary teams, the EMDT, are EMDTs, they're teams that are made up of different professionals, different individuals from different agencies, different disciplines in the county. So we'll have somebody from law enforcement, we'll have someone from the Office for the Aging, we'll have somebody from Stop Domestic Violence. We will often have a medical professional, we'll have a civil legal person who can come to the team and offer their expertise. So if there's a problem or a case that comes to the team, we have lots of different people who can come in and brainstorm about how to solve the problem. So enhanced means if your case comes to the team, the EMDT will pay for a forensic accountant to look at your bank records just in case it's too complicated for one person. You will also, if necessary, have access to a mental health professional whose expertise would be paid for by the team. You also have access to a civil legal person who can give you information on your case. They can't go to court for you, but they could help give you information on how to do a power of attorney. They could check a power of attorney for you to see if it's a legitimate power of attorney, and many other legal situations that would come up for someone who is age 60 plus. Okay, you can go to the next one. Thank you so much. So what is the purpose of these teams? They meet usually monthly. Right now we're meeting virtually most of the time because of COVID, but we meet monthly to discuss suspected cases of what we call elder abuse. Elder is just anyone 60 of age and older. And at the teams, we identify different approaches to help fix the problem based on wherever that person is from and whatever agency they're from. So these, the cases that come to the team are also often very complicated. So you have all the different agencies in one group coming together to help solve the problem. All of the agencies will each provide their own recommendations. And then whoever the person is who is working directly with the victim, they take the recommendations that the team provides back to the victim, and then the victim gets to decide how they want to go forward, okay? So we often will revisit a case, like, so say if we gave some recommendations to somebody and they weren't really into them, well, we'll bring the case back and here's some other recommendations, or maybe those recommendations helped and maybe we can close the case, maybe they got their money back, that sort of thing. So one of the things that is also good about these teams is because you have all the different agencies coming together, they get to see what everyone is doing. They get to see, oh, this is what you can do to help solve the problem. Oh, this is what your specific skill set is to solve the problem. Because a lot of times we all work in our own little agency and we don't know what the other agencies can and cannot do. I learned a lot about law enforcement in this job because I thought, you know, law enforcement, they can just do anything and go right in there, and that's not the case. So on the next slide, please. So our referrals come directly from agencies. So I wouldn't have like someone who felt like they got scammed call me directly. You would call OFA, or you could call the state police, you could call Stop Domestic Violence. And if someone does call me directly, I will usually refer them on to an agency who can then bring the case to the team. as it says here, the EMDT doesn't replace whatever agency is helping you. We just act as an administrator. We will help gather documents. We do a lot of the legwork that maybe someone from APS doesn't have time to do, like going through your bank statements and seeing what were your expenses and what were maybe someone's, the alleged perpetrator who was stealing from you, whatever they were spending. So next slide, please. So how do I know if it's a case? Usually it's very complicated and they have all of these different things. So maybe the case, maybe you've called the police, maybe you've called the Better Business Bureau, maybe you've called the Attorney General, maybe you've reached out to Office for the Aging, maybe you've reached out for Adult Protective Services. Maybe even though all of those agencies have been contacted, there's still an issue. You know, you talk to the bank, there's still a gap, like we still don't know how to help that person. That then can be something that comes to the team. So all those players can be at the same room at the same time and hopefully get the problem solved more quickly. Next slide, please. Thanks. So this is a little bit, repetitive, so I'll just go through it quickly. We meet every month. We have new cases every month and sometimes just follow-up cases. And I remind people, oh, hey, you said that you were going to call this particular banking representative and get those bank statements. Were you able to do that? Or what's the timeline on that? So I help sort of organize the teams. I remind them, oh, at the meeting, you said you were going to be able to let the individual know they should check their credit report. Do you know if they got a copy of their credit report? So that's what I do. And also, like I said before, there's lots of cross training that happens in these meetings. So I get to learn what law enforcement does. I get to learn what Adult Protective Services does and doesn't do. Next slide, please. Thanks. So the membership in an EMDT, as I said before, will have some kind of mental health professional, usually forensic accountant, a civil legal person, me, the administrator, to kind of keep it all together so that everyone else who's doing their actual jobs in the community doesn't have to keep that kind of stuff in the front of their brain all the time. And the core members are, APS, OFA, law enforcement, the DA's office. And then we have what are called our auxiliary team members who can be super, super helpful. People from banks, people from the mental health profession, Stop Domestic Violence, say a volunteer bill payer, somebody who delivers home-delivered meals, anyone who's got eyes in the home. Those can be people who end up being a team member. Next, please. So, okay, so how an actual case goes through. Case is presented, we talk about the case, everyone on the team identify specific recommendations about how the person might be able to be helped. And then I, as the coordinator, will make the list of all of the recommendations. And then I'll say, okay, do I have this correct? You said you would do this for the client, and then person B said they would do this for the client, and person C said they would do this for the client. Is that correct? Is everyone good with this, a timeline from 2 weeks from now? And then what I would also do for the summary is that after the team meeting, I'll send an email to the main players, the people who said that they were going to do stuff, just to remind them. And then say a week or sometimes the day before, depending on how swamped I get, I'll ask, hey, did you have a chance to talk to so-and-so? Did you get a copy of that bank statement? So then we're prepared for when that case comes back to the team the next month, and we can see how far along we went to help the individual. And I know I've been talking really fast. Did anyone have any questions before I move on to the next slide? Okay. I saw this nice gentleman breathe, and I thought maybe I was mowing over him. So, okay, next slide. Thanks. So, I put this flexibility, adaptability as the EMDT's main strength. So, because we have all of these different agencies involved, we can solve the issues faster. And since COVID happened, we can still meet. We can meet on Zoom. So it's everybody on here, and it's Brady Bunch style, and you can see everybody's face and ask people questions and how do you think you can help with this. And I guess just being able to pivot, like if there's one question and the victim can't seem to do it this way, well, let's find another way. Because a lot of times with elder abuse, and what we usually deal with is financial exploitation, a lot of times it's family members, it's people that you care about. Maybe you don't want to file a police report on your nephew. Maybe you just want to find your nephew some help for his mental illness. Maybe he's taking money from you because he has a substance abuse problem. Maybe he's really depressed. So that's one of the things that can be really great with the EMDT. We're not just trying to lock people up. We want to help. We want to make your family strong. We want to make sure that whatever problem you have, that it gets solved the way you want it to get solved. It's not some agency coming in and saying, you've got to do this. We ask questions, what do you feel comfortable with? What do you want? And so it's what we call victim-centered. It's not, the government coming in and telling you what to do. We go in and we say, well, these are things that you could do that might make your problem less. And then you get to decide if you want to go forward. Next. So it's my funny slide, the pivot. So we're starting to do a hybrid model. I actually just bought one of these meeting owls here. When somebody talks, it focuses in on you, and then you get to see their face. So as COVID is happening, we understand the importance of these financial exploitation groups. So what the first presenter had spoken about how it's like 1 in 22 or 1 in 25 cases of financial exploitation actually get reported. That's actually up since the institution of the EMDT program in 2012. In 2012, it was only 1 in 44. So we're getting that out there, like 1 in 25 now are getting reported. So the way we're doing it now with this, hopefully this hybrid model that's coming up, is people who want to stay safe in their homes and they want to come into the meeting from their home instead of having to drive 40 minutes one way, that they can do that. So we're adapting as we need to the changing times so that we can still help people get the assistance that they need. Next. So the benefits, I probably said them all already, but just to put a button on it, it brings all the agencies together so that we can come to an improved collaboration. So we know in our rural counties, we have very few people who all are wearing different hats and have a lot of stuff going on. And we want to make sure that our resources and our money are pooled together so we think for maximum effectiveness. So a holistic response, that's just a fancy word for everybody coming together from all different angles and addressing all of the issues that somebody might have. That's what that means. And like I said before, to efficiently use our scarce resources. The other thing that's good about the EMDT is, say you don't want to go all the way to the DA's office and all the way to the police. You don't have to. You can get immediate relief. We can have somebody come in, oh, well, maybe you need a volunteer bill payer. Maybe you need somebody to come and bring you a home delivered meal. Maybe you just need somebody to talk to. Maybe you need someone to come in and teach you how to do online banking so that all of your stuff happens automatically and you don't ever have to worry about it. To restore your sense of safety and security, feeling like you can do your money by yourself. And the no single agency can do it alone is sort of the EMDT slogan. One of the main things for me that doing this program has helped with is that I really understand that nobody can do it alone. Like OFA can't do it alone, state police can't do it alone, the chief of police can't do it alone, APS can't do it alone. And when we all come together, we all get that recipe together, and then it comes out to something that works for everybody. That's what we're really, really doing here. So And I guess that's it. And then this is me. And if you need to reach out, please feel free. And I know I said I don't take direct referrals, but if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to call me and or email me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you wanted a copy of the pamphlet and you didn't get one, I've got extras in the back. So did anyone have any questions?
Do other religions have the same kind of setup?
Actually, I work for, under Catholic Charities umbrella, but the EMDT program is actually operated from the state of New York. It's Office of Victim Services. So it's an OVSVOCA so the EMDT is paid for by the federal government and the state government. The federal government pays 75% of the program through the Department of Justice and the FBI. They pay 75%, and then the state of New York pays the other 25%. So what happened was Lifespan of Greater Rochester, they do a lot of things for people who are 60 plus. They run the program, and they asked, the Catholic Charities said, hey, we would really love to be part of that. Can we be part of that? So Catholic Charities hired me, and I run that state of New York program through Catholic Charities. So that's the long answer to yes. It doesn't really have anything to do with any specific religion. It's just Catholic Charities just happens to be the organization that fronts all of my salary. So they believe enough in this program that they pay out to run the program, and then at the end of the year, the state reimburses them. Did that answer your question?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you've got the Constitution that says separation of church and state. That doesn't look very separate.
Well, it doesn't really have anything to do with a religion. It's just so itself isn't the Catholic Church. It's just called Catholic Church. I believe it was instituted around 1887. It was started by Catholics, but they're a separate entity.
Well, not exactly. We adopted through Catholic Charities, and there was a nun that.
Yes. Oh, they still have a lot of people who, like the CEO of Catholic Charities is a deacon.
You could probably also get information from Philly Ecumenical Ministry.
It's an umbrella agency and it has lots of programs.
Exactly. Catholic
It's a social
Charities.
services agency.
Exactly. Like Catholic Charities has all kinds of agencies. They do AmeriCorps Seniors, Retired and Senior Volunteer Program. They do the Foster Grandparent Program. You may have heard of that.
They used to do the ombudsman program for
Yes.
nursing home,
As
long-term
a
care
participant
residents.
in the EMDD, I can certainly say that it's not, there's no element of religious doctrine.
Yeah, there's
in
no,
our-
yeah, it's not
in the
religious at all.
Yeah.
It's not
It
religious
just
at all.
happens to be that Catholic Charities is the nonprofit that, it, like Casey explained, is housing this program. I
Right.
know some of Catholic Charities programs do practice through the Catholic mission, but I've not found that with EMDT.
Yeah, and we can't do that because it's a state funded. So because it's state funded, all of the rules, like all of my policies and procedures, they're all from New York State. And Catholic Charities just signs off on that, like, yep, that's good, we're gonna do what the state says. So if that clears it up a little bit. I'm really glad you're asking the question. I've never had anyone ask me that before, so it's good to get to talk about it.
So the cases that you review are brought to you through other agencies, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That they couldn't handle it by themselves? Or
Right,
they
so
were-
say in St. Lawrence County, we had an individual who they went to APS because their power of attorney had taken all their money. Well, after APS did an investigation, they thought, well, you as an individual don't really fall under our umbrella of protection because you have family who can help you and you're cognitively, strong, so there's really not anything that we can do for you, but let's bring your case to the EMDT. So we got this case from APS, and we did some digging, and we found out that, the individual was also the sister. So we had a power of attorney who was a sister, and she was a very good power of attorney for 1.5 years. And then she wrote herself a big check, and then she stepped back from being power of attorney. And so the gentleman who could have done his own finances, but his wife had done them forever, and when she passed away, it was just too much for him to try to learn how to do. So he said, "Hey, sister, can you please do this for me?" And she said, "Sure, I can do that." So he then got a new power of attorney, his niece, and through a couple of different attorney letters, which we paid for the attorneys to write those letters to this individual, saying, "Oh, well, he's got a new power of attorney now, so you don't need to protect his money anymore. You can give him back that large sum of money." And she refused. And so we took all of our evidence that we had, and I called the assistant district attorney who's on the EMDT in St. Lawrence County and said, "Hey, this is our situation. What can you do?" And he said, "Well, she's been asked twice by 2 different attorneys to return the funds," and she said no. So the crime isn't her taking the money as a power of attorney. Her crime is, after she's been removed, not returning it. Because then and I learned this on doing this case, they said it was called conversion, which is and make it something that belongs to me. I'm going to convert it into my money. So when the state police, who are also on the EMDT, they agreed to go do an interview per the assistant district attorney's intervention. He called the state police and said, "Hey, could you come and, talk to this lady about returning the money?" She said to the state police that he wasn't getting it. It was very colorful. I don't need to explain, it was colorful. He's not getting it back. And so because she had been his power of attorney, it made it kind of a big deal. So they went back and explained to her again that if she wasn't going to return the money, that she was going to be arrested. And then she rethought her process and wrote out a check for a very large sum, and then it was all said and done. So no one needed to go to jail. No one went to jail. Well, she was also 84. So, nobody needed to go to jail. And it's a complex case because obviously if you're taking multiple thousands of dollars from a family member, there's probably some water under the bridge. There's probably some situations there. And so in a way, it's sort of everyone wins, kind of. As long as not going to jail is a win, then the sister wins. The brother wins because he gets his money back. He gets a different power of attorney who's, gonna do what he needs done. And that's an example of what we do.
It's like conflict resolution.
We also, if we can operate in that way, we actually, both of the civil legal teams that we have, we do Rural Law Center, and if it's time for me to be quiet, you just let me know. So Rural Law Center of New York kind of operates in the Clinton, Essex, Franklin realm, and the Justice and Law Center works in the Jefferson, Lewis, St. Lawrence realm. But the rural law they can do everywhere also. So depending on who is super busy that week, I'll tap them on the shoulder. Oh shoot, I totally forgot the question. Ask me again.
I thought it was more like a
Yes, so thank you. Yeah, so they both have professional conflict resolution centers. Sorry, my explanation got so long, I got lost in it. And so we've actually had that in a trust situation. We had a mediator come and discuss with the 2 parties, and the one party was given $200,000 to move on. And before the mediation, the other party was trying to get them to leave with nothing. So nothing legal needed to happen, but sometimes just having somebody else there to sort of diffuse the energy can make the situation resolve itself with less rancor and stress.
Kind of shoots down at getting invited for Thanksgiving dinner. Kind of shoots down the idea that you might get invited for Thanksgiving dinner.
Does anyone have any other questions of Casey? Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very
Thank you
much.
very
And if you have any questions or want to know anything more about the program, please feel free to call me or email me. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, and lastly, we have Penny Everson, who is the Adult Services Supervisor for Lewis County Department of Social Services. And she is going to talk about what they can do to help protect our older adults.
And I'm gonna be really quick because we have a potato luncheon going on. So you're gonna start getting hungry because you're all gonna start smelling it. So I'm Penny Everson, the Adult Protective Supervisor here, I work right in this building. So if there's any reason to believe that you know somebody 18 years and older that has been abused, neglected, exploited, or they, you feel like they're in a home and they're not able to take care of themselves, maybe they're experiencing dementia or Alzheimer's, and maybe they don't have a lot of family members to support them, you would probably want to call me if you feel like they're in danger. So I have 3 criteria in order to accept a referral. So they have to do mental or physical impairment, or have or suspected. They have to have an actual or friend harm to them, and nobody else willing or able to help them. Or maybe they do have one family member who really doesn't know how to navigate systems for them or how to help them. And then you would call me right here at the Department of Social Services. We would talk about it. I would probably take a referral, and then one of my caseworkers would probably be out to talk to the family and to investigate the concern. So that's basically Adult Protective Services in a gist. I have multiple caseworkers who can investigate. And then what we do we try to go out with more of a helping hand. Like we don't just march in people's homes and take adults out and put them in nursing homes. That is like number one myth that people think we can do, and we cannot do that. So we have to do, sorry, this mask is driving me crazy. We have to do all other alternatives and try to help and offer services and make referrals to make sure that adult is safe in the home before we can go in and intervene drastically. So it's usually a rarity that we would ever want to take guardianship of somebody, but Adult Protective Services does have that ability, but it's rare. We would probably intervene, try to help, try to support, try to make referrals to try to keep them safe in their own home if that's what they wanted. We have been through all of this that was presented today. We get calls on scams, we get calls on exploitation, we get calls from banks. We've been through the grandparent scam, the gift card scam, the oil rig scam. We've been through it all with people. We do determine capacity. So if I went out to your home and someone said, you do not have the ability to make decisions, then my caseworkers have to assess that. They have to talk to you. They have to have a conversation, see if you have that ability to make those decisions and if you have capacity, and then we move on from there. And if you don't, we can certainly help you. But I've literally had adults tell me that they are going to give thousands of dollars to the guy on the oil rig because he wants to come to the United States to see them, and they will continue to give them money, and there's really not a lot we can do to convince them otherwise. A lot of those romantic relationships that everybody hears about for those scams, we have been involved in, and unfortunately, it kind of like me just giving away money because I think that guy on the oil rig is gonna come be my husband. Unfortunately, that guy is probably scamming that individual and never comes, but the money just keeps going out the door. And there are times where we can intervene if that person is literally giving away all of their money and they're about to become homeless. There are ways we can intervene.
But it sounds kind of like people have the right to make their own bad decisions.
That is like our number one
Yeah.
saying in New York State, people have a right to make bad decisions. There's no hotline for Adult Protective Services. there's like a helpline that you might see advertised every once in a while, but you literally can call here locally at the 315-376-5400 number, and they'll transfer you to me. So it's literally, we're here, it's a department, it's accessible, it's available. A couple of the other things we do is representative payee program. So for those receiving Social Security funds, if you mismanage your funds or you're unable to manage your funds, we actually have that program. We help pay your bills, we budget for you, and we help keep a safe home for you. Sometimes people are just not able to manage or pay bills on their own. So we do that for several people. And I think we're one of 2 agencies in the county that can do that. Lewis County Opportunities also does it, but I think we're the primary agency for that. And then the third program, really quick, is our personal care program through adult services that we run. And that's if you are Medicaid eligible and you have a documented physical impairment. Your doctor can basically sign off on an order that says you need a little bit of help in the home. You need somebody to come in and help you with laundry, vacuuming, mopping. You need maybe somebody to go to the bank for you because you're unable to do those things because you have a documented medical impairment that prohibits you from doing those things. And that's a program that's only Medicaid eligible for us here in social services. But I know Office for the Aging also has the ISEP program that is for non-Medicaid folks. So there is a difference if anybody's heard about that program. So I think that was it. We investigate cases for up to 60 days. Cases can be closed or kept open. If we feel like somebody needs more services or ongoing assistance, we actually do keep open cases. I think that's about it. Any questions? I know that was really super fast.
Available.
We're here. We have lots of people that call us, anywhere from regular people to church people to banks to, we've gotten calls from stores. We've gotten calls from utility companies. Maybe somebody hasn't paid their NIMO bill all of a sudden for like 6 months, and maybe that person's 80 years old. They might call us and say something's going on. So anybody that,
And you can go into the home and find out more.
Yep. And if people refuses access, so say you're abusing him, and I get to call on him, and you refuse me access, I can ask a judge for an access order. So I can at least physically see him. Yep. We can help you. And we do actually, to be quite honest with you, we've gotten some malicious calls, believe it or not, which is unfortunate. People call us up and make complaints and we go out and it's far from the truth. So there's sometimes some family feuding going on. So don't ever take people's money.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Sorry for so fast.
Well, thank you again, everyone, for coming. Hope